Okay, let's try that again now with an unmuted mic. Good morning, everybody. So today we're going to wrap up Milestone 2. We have a quick bug that I hope that we're going to be able to fix real fast. It's just we want to make sure that we don't advance to the next character's turn until the exploration tile has been selected. Should hopefully be a fairly quick fix. I was thinking about it a couple different ways. Think it should be pretty quick to fix. But that is, I believe, the last thing that I really want to clean up on Milestone 2, and we can call Milestone 2 complete. So hopefully that's only going to take, if my brain is thinking right, I think we should be able to do it real quick and easy. We're just like moving around a couple lines of code with the systems that we already have. So hopefully we'll get that resolved real fast. And then after that, we're going to start moving on to Milestone 3, which is our combat. And I'm going to already start out with a big thank you to Michael from Michael Games. He actually sent over some dice art that I can use for the dice rolling because, you know, I'm not going to use the HeroQuest graphics. I don't want to get sued by Hasbro or whoever it is that's publishing the HeroQuest now. I believe it's Hasbro. You know, if you know the history of HeroQuest, they had a license with Games Workshop, so there's some Warhammer stuff in the original one that's all been redone for the new stuff. And yeah. But so then we'll switch gears once we get that working. We'll switch into our combat planning. I've got some ideas. You know, again, I'm keeping track of all my stuff on the notebook and writing things down. So I've got some ideas that I just jotted down today while I was doing tech prep for the stream to make sure everything's up and working, to try to give myself maybe a little bit more steering direction for the stream, so we don't have another episode 9 again where it just feels like everything is lost and confused and we're losing ground instead of gaining ground towards our 100-hour completion. So with that, let's go over and take a look at where we stand on a bunch of other stuff. So okay, so over here we've got the end of this. We already have monsters spawning. They're being added to the turn order, and our players can move around the board. We did punt the enemy decision engine down here into Milestone 3, so we'll work on that today. And then we have all these actions here. Right now our open chest is removing just for test purposes, but we'll get rid of that. So before I dig too far into this, we'll circle back around to it. Let's jump back over to, hold on, I think, do I have a, I do not. Give me 1 second while I get a window up here so we can jump into our time tracker. Okay, so let's go back into our Kanban here because we did not clean up our stuff yesterday. I was pretty much done at the end of the stream. So let's see. We did put in a game manager. I don't know if I really want to call that done. We do have the monster spawner, so that has been made. So can throw that over here. We do have the movement system. We don't have the monsters moving. I don't know if I want to call that done yet or not. And we do have the action turn system in place. We'll probably refine this some more in the current milestone. But I think I'm going to call that, one done. Yeah, I think I'm going to call that done. Same with the movement system. I'm just going to call those done for Kanban tracking. And then when we get into our combat milestone, we'll start dragging stuff over here. So let's go ahead and let's just start. Let's get that that bug fix. So let's do milestone 2 bug fix. Okay, and then we can close out this this milestone. So let's get back, do that. Let's jump over into Godot. Here we go. So right now what we have, just to refresh your memory, is if we move our character here and then we move, sorry, for some reason my mouse wheel is being very sensitive this morning. So if we move him here, we still have this exploration where we can click on the tiles to explore, but it's already advanced to our next character's turn. So look, we can move another character here, and then it's going to follow those when this one never got selected. So what we want to do is we want to fix that. So I think right now the way we're doing this is we're emitting the next turn from the game board right here. And then we're also emitting, let's change our actor or our turn manager to go to the next character. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here to the game board. I'm going to get rid of this next turn signal because the game board doesn't really need to track the turn. Only the turn manager needs to track the turn. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this. And let's take a look at that advanced turn function. Do we need to keep that in here? So what we got? Advanced turn. Our show possibles is part of the game board, so we do want that here. And then this just says if there's anything here. Okay. And this right here is going to be our thing that's going to make this easy because we already have an await here. So it's already written as a asynchronous function. So if we come back into our game manager, or not game manager, our combat manager, and oops, forgot to mute my phone. Let me do that right now so we don't get a whole bunch of interruptions. Boop, boop, mute. Mute. There it goes. Okay. So right here, we're emitting that turn. We just got rid of that turn, but let's call the advanced turn. Advanced turn. So then it will do the show possibles, and then we want to do an await just in case there are possibles. So I think that should work. Let's just double check it. So we'll move them here. We gotta move twice before it comes up. Okay, so these we're not going to click on. Oh, we still got the bug. It's still allowing us to move. Yeah, it's still advancing through. Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to take this. We don't want to change the turn manager to the next character until after that. Okay, let's try that. So we move here. We move here. Now if we move, yep, okay. So now we can't do anything until we click on the tile, and now we can advance to the next turn. Okay, perfect. That is going to be, I just realized as we're doing that, I'm going to need a check in there for show possibles. Because if we're going to use that turn manager for our enemies, for the monsters aren't going to create an explore. So we need to make sure that we say the monsters, we're not waiting for someone to click on a tile if they're a monster. So let's go back to our game board. Here we go. Advanced turn. And then let's just do, what is our, right here, this one right here, combat manager, copy. We can say if .actor is it in group, .in group. What's the .get? What's the command I'm trying to think of? We want to find the group. So we have the actor. Okay, let's just jump over here and we'll look it up. Godot get group of object. Yeah. So we have an object. We want to find out what group it's in. Get tree, get nodes in group. Get tree, get nodes. No, I want to check to see if an object belongs to a group. Check if an object's in a group. Here we go. Perfect. If body dot is in group. Okay. So that's what we want right there. Okay. So come back over here. We're going to do dot. Oops. We need the I is in group. And then what do we call that group? Monsters? Monsters. Okay. Oop. My super sensitive keyboard that loves the Q key for some reason. And then we'll just do a return right there. because if it's a monster, we're just going to kick it out entirely. So this, let's just make sure that works. We don't have any monsters yet. Oh, wait, we can do our... Nah, that's fine for right now. That should work. Let's just make sure we didn't break anything. Move. Move again. Okay. Okay, so it skipped over the player. Is in-group monsters. Why did it do that? Print monster. So if it's in the group, it shouldn't be in the group monsters. Let's see. Yeah, it says monster. Okay. Did we set the player groups? I thought we did. Oh, they're... Why are they in... Okay. Players. Okay. So for some reason our players were in the monster group. Okay. Now they're not. So now this should be working fine. So we'll move him here. We'll move him again. Okay. And then we move. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. So that is going to be milestone 2 complete. Let's just clean up some of this debugging. These, yeah, we're not using those yet. We're not... Action complete. This is on the orc. Yeah, we haven't written the orc stuff yet. So these I can ignore for right now because we're going to implement those later. I plan on using this for the GUI, but we might be able to use that for something else. Oh, right. Yep, we want to use local references here. Underscore, and then we want to use underscore here. Because we already have an X and Y, so this may cause other future bugs. Let's just make sure that did not break anything. And that, I believe, was so that we could move across. Okay. Okay, so this is why I test. X and Y. So X in range, region, position. Why did this not work? Valid access to property or key. Oh, because the properties are still .x and .y. This is where I'm using it in here. I'm just an idiot. Okay. So we make sure that works fine. Boom. Okay, and then, okay, that didn't really produce the tile that we needed. I wanted to make sure we get... Okay, do we need one more here. Let's do him here. Okay, so now if we do the barbarian to... I don't care. The barbarian wasn't in a good spot to do anything. Okay, so if we put this guy here, now we should not get a path up and over here. Nope, under. Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's good. We cleaned up those. That should be good. Where is my... So now we wait for the tile selection. Before we do that, we refresh the action points, which, again, we're using a magic number right now of 2. We need to worry about that a little bit later. And then we remove the signals from the game board. Perfect. Okay. So with that being said, let's jump back over into our planning here. and we're going to take a look here at our milestone 3. So we're talking about our combat gameplay. And one of the things I'm just going to bring up here, because I dropped it into the folder, assets, sprites, dice. Okay, sure. Show me in File Manager then. Okay. So these are the images that Michael made for me. These are very kind of reminiscent of HeroQuest, where it had a skull, and then it had a shield, a white shield for humans. Then it had a black shield with like a monster face on it for the shield for the bad guys. So we got a couple different options here. We got like the checkerboard shield. We got a helmet, a sword that's actually swinging. I feel like this needs to be like two-tone. So I think what I'd probably do is I'll use these. I just worry that if that is going to be too close to HeroQuest to really throw things. Yeah, so what we'll do right now, at least, we'll just use these three as our dice stuff. So that's why, I want to show you, what we have here. Okay, so that's our dice. So our combat resolution, we're going to roll our dice pool. We're going to say, okay, how many swords did you get? That's how many hits you possibly have. The monster rolls, how many monster faces did they get? That's how many hits that it gets negated. Let me think if there's something else that we need to worry about here. Not worry about, but go over. So we're going to, hopefully, at the end of this milestone, players going to be able to explore. They're going to spawn. They're going to have a basic fight with a basic orc. It's just going to swing and attack them. And we'll get some rewards. We're going to get gold, stuff like that. Okay. So the general idea I have for this is we're going to need some resources or stats, I guess. And I'm already thinking 2 steps ahead of what I'm about to say, is we need some stats on our character. So if we build that as a Godot resource, then we can drop the same stat sheet on monsters and players and all that fun stuff. So we'll want to do that. That's going to be pretty simple. Let's bring up our over here. Let's look at our HeroQuest hero cards. So if we take a look at these, let's see if I can just bring this up. Here we go. So it's got attack dice, defend dice, and then it has the hit points. It has body and mind. I don't know if I really want to use mind. I feel like hit points alone might be enough. I don't know. And I'm just trying to think if when we get into our hero abilities, then we might need some mind points, something like if you play D&D, saving throws, something along those lines to then say, hey, we need to protect our mind against spells, because like the barbarian, if we bring this up here, he's got a lot more attack in his defend dice, but he's got, strong body, lots of hit points, but he's a weak mind, so he's more susceptible to spells. The reason I'm thinking about it is because we're going to have a spellcaster, possibly 2, because we have the cleric as well. And then the monsters that we chose for this specifically are orcs, and they have ranged weapons and like swords. So they're going to be just pure grunt attackers. So we're not going to have I don't believe in our list. Let's go back over and look at our list. I don't think we have any like spellcaster type stuff. We have a blade, a scout, a raider, possibly a warg like a dog, arbalist, a berserker, phalanx, and then we have like a cave troll or a pale champion, which is just a really nasty orc. So we're not going to really have any monsters that are going to be attacking the hero's mind. So it might be just simple, and what's the word I'm looking for? beneficial to us in a 100-hour time frame to try to make sure we keep that as simple as possible. So if we just get rid of, mind and stuff like that, we can, because this is a resource, we can just add that stat in later, especially when we get into abilities. If we do want to have a chance of, say, we want to use sleep, and we want to have the orcs have a chance to not fall asleep or something like that. So maybe there is a reason to put it in there. But we'll get to that in Milestone 4 when we start defining other abilities. Right now, our goal for Milestone 3 is going to be, build the combat engine itself, and try to get our monsters to do some real basic stuff. Probably because right now the only orc we have is just a melee. It just walks up and punches people. So it's going to be real simple of, hey, am I standing next to somebody? No, move and then hit them. Okay, if I move towards the closest player and they're still out of range, move a second time. My turn's over. So it'll probably be real simple, the combat choices that we're going to make here. And then we also need to deal with the death. The death of monsters. Do they spawn a treasure chest? Do they just drop an item? Right now, I think all we're going to do is we're going to reward some gold and just go, here we go. We got gold. And then we also have to check with that, which I made note of because I forgot about it in another game, was we also need to have the check in and say, hey, are all 4 heroes dead? Because if they're all dead, we need to end the game. And so we need to have that check in here as well. So when we handle the death of monsters and we handle the death of heroes, we need to make sure we need to check to see if the game's over, or needs to be reset or something like that. So that should be, let's see here. We got that. We need to we have a dice resolver, which is going to take into account the pool, compare the 2 pools together. It's going to take into account any item mods we have, because as I talked about before, each hero is going to have a weapon and then they're going to have a cloak. Because I just figured that makes the most universal sense with a cloak, because, a barbarian is going to have no clothing. A paladin or whatever else we have, it's going to have a full suit of plate mail. And I don't want to have to be like, swapping out the different armors. I know Hero Quest kind of does it without thinking. It goes, hey, look, the elf now has plate mail or something like that with an item card. I figured a cloak makes sense. Everybody can have a cloak, whether or not you're, a barbarian, just bare chested, or if you're a paladin in full gear, you can have a cloak. So that, I think that just makes the most sense for this. So when we design the items, that makes it all universal and people can swap between each other. Let's see. We got the dice resolver. We talked about the enemy controller already. Death and the treasure system. Okay. So with that, let's just go ahead and let's expand this just a little bit. So combat resolution, we're going to roll our attack dice pool. Okay, and then we're going to roll our defense dice pool. And then we'll compare the results. Okay, and then we can apply results. Okay. So that's going to be fairly simple, pretty straightforward. This is all going to be all done with the, what did I call it before? The dice resolver, I think. Let me look over here in Godot. We called it the combat manager. Yeah, we call it the dice resolver. So we'll use this for the dice resolver. Okay. The monster AI right now, again, what we're going to implement is going to be fairly simple. Check distance to closest enemy, or closest player, because this will be a monster AI. Move towards if too far away for attack. And again, like our orcs are going to have crossbows or bow. I don't remember what the graphics are. Crossbows or bow and arrows. They're going to have a range attack. So move towards if too far away for attack. And then check again. And then if close, attack. Close, attack. Okay. And then it needs to... What else do we need anything else? I mean, that's going to be pretty simple for this one. When we get into the boss mechanics, they might do it slightly differently. We're going to need to calculate the target. Oh, we need to plan the A star. So this will be the A star navigation, which we can already use what we have. Oops, A star. We just take the target cell. We say, hey, we're going to target the player in this target cell and feed it right into the same system that we're using for our players. But we're also going to need to take into account the mark player squares. Mark player squares. SQUA. Wow. There we go. As solid in the A star, so that the monster can't travel through the player squares. Okay. So let's do. We got that. Calculate A star. Take our actions instead of if close. Take selected action. I'll just keep it generalized like that. Okay, and that should be and then end turn. Need to end the monster's turn. Okay. The death of the hero monster. If monster, we need to spawn a reward. We'll just put reward here. For right now, it's probably just going to be gold. Then later, we maybe, like if it's a boss or something like that, maybe we'll spawn one of our chests. And then maybe that's going to have an item or something in it. So we'll do that for right now. If monster, spawn reward. If the death is a player, and then we need to check for game over. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then I think I put in, right down here. Exit tile is going to be down in Milestone 5. Okay. When I was thinking about check for game over, I was like, how are we going to check to see if the players won? We're not there yet. We have to get there. Treasure rewards, gold. I mean, that is, whoops. Chest roll for item. I've been having a lot of thought on how we want to do the items, because right now what we have planned with this is a very simple dungeon crawler moving through stuff. It is a you move up to 6 squares or wherever the speed is. You know what? I need to add that in here. Stats, speed. There we go. Before we do our now I just totally rolling for items. How are we going to reward that? Because right now it's just a real quick go through, try to kill all the enemies and get to the exit tile. You don't have to kill all the enemies, but try to fight them, get to the exit tile, you're out. So we need to, reward the player with items. If we just randomly take from a pool or even a weighted pool, there's a chance that they're going to end up with a +5 Vorpal sword or whatever it is on the very first roll. And so there's no reason for them to keep playing and keep advancing. We don't have level ups with the players at this time. Maybe we add that in the future. That's on the, maybe in the sequel list that we talked about before. So we still need that sense of progression and how are we going to progress going forward. So I think what we might do is kind of steal something like World of Warcraft. Items will have levels, and then we can just take the average item level from everybody in the party, and then we can say this is what level the party is, so this is the level roughly of what reward we need to drop. And then as the players get more and more items that are slightly higher power, that average level is going to go up, so then we can start adding higher level items from our resource pool into the possible drops. And then that way, there is a reason to keep playing. You can keep playing till you get better items, keep playing. And then with that, if we look back here with our monsters, maybe this is, where it starts out. When you're level 1, basic level entry, these are the monsters that you're going to fight. You get up to a certain level, and then, okay, now you're going to fight the ferals. And then if you get a high enough average item level, now you're going to fight war breeds. stuff like that. And then that's going to change maybe who the bosses are. So it gives us a little bit of progression. So it gives the players a reason to keep playing, because otherwise they might do 2 runs maybe and go, okay, I'm all done. Or, hey, I got these completely random thing. So there's no reason to keep playing because I could get the +5 and just cakewalk everything. Or I've played 6 times and I still keep getting the same level 1 sword. Excuse me. There we go. So that was my thought on that. Wow. Throat feeling great this morning. But I think that covers what we need here. So let's go back over to our Kanban. Let's try to figure out, what we need to do for this milestone. And yes, we're on the clock for all of this. So let's go ahead and Kanban here. So I'm just going to kick Game Manager back over here. We're in combat. We're going to do the enemy decision engine. We're going to do death mechanics. We're going to do treasure reward system. We're probably going to need... We're not going to add a win-loss screen right now. Because the screen's going to be part of the UI stuff. So we're going to add that a little bit later. We're not going to add the ability spell system right now. Items... not so much. Again, our heroes for right now could be totally cookie cutter. 1 hit point, 1 attack die. We're just going to make the system work. Okay. So I think this is roughly where we need to be. Yeah, escalation mechanic I was kind of talking about before. Playtesting. There's been a couple comments in the user comments in the threads that I do kind of want to bring up. I do read and feedback to everybody. There's was one asking, I think they posted on episode 6. I don't remember right offhand, but they were asking about, why don't we make the explore mechanic one of the actions? One of my thought on that is we already have a slow system because we're doing turn-based, so everything's moving already slow. And if we take away the double move action or the double attack or move and attack, and we have to replace that with a explore action, then it's going to slow the game down, and it's also going to remove the risk of standing on the edge tile. So if you're fighting an orc and you're standing on the edge tile at the end of your turn, you could very well explore a new tile that has monsters on it, and they're going to ambush you and attack you. So there's that risk and reward type thing. The other thing I talked about way back in episode 1 when we did the initial planning was HeroQuest doesn't have this, but the Dungeons & Dragons board game has it, and several other ones have it, like Chorus Quest and stuff, is if you don't explore, then they have like an encounter system, something that happens. It spawns new monsters on monster spawner tiles, or it, something happens, you get hit by a unseen trap or something like that. But it kind of forces the players to keep exploring so that they will keep advancing in the game and keep the game going at a steady pace. I don't know if we're going to need that or not. I think that's going to be a feedback from the playtesting. If it's too slow, then we're going to need one of those things to kind of engage people and keep them going. So that's going to be, probably based around the feedback playtesting. I have a couple ideas now for playtesting I want to do. And I apologize to the user who left this comment, because I don't have your username in front of me, so I can't give you credit for it. But I do want to playtest possibly using that in the playtest of, let's add an action to explore. So if you want to explore, you have to sacrifice one of your actions. My gut is going to tell me that that's going to slow down the game just way too much. And it's not going to be a lot of fun. So that's where my gut stands right now on that. But it's something worth testing, because, I play enough of these board game mechanics and they don't make exploration an action. And I'm going to assume, especially something like Dungeons & Dragons, they've done enough playtesting to understand that that is not a viable thing to do. But I don't have that data, so I might as well try it. Well, and when we get to playtesting, we'll come up with a version that has multiple different things to try. Maybe we'll have the full-on Dungeons & Dragons roll 20, a d20 to attack, and we have pluses versus the dice pool or something like that. So when we get to the playtesting section, we're going to make sure we design your playtest so that we can test all these different ideas and get actual feedback from you guys who are watching and playing and seeing how the game feels. That's the other thing too. We had someone say, hey, don't just dump slop on Steam. There's already too much slop on there. That's why I have several checkpoints built in to say, hey, is this good? Is this not good? Do we need to go back and refix this? Is this something viable moving forward? And I believe I have in that document, we have several checkpoints built into this. So we have the complete run right here. We have a playtest and feature lock, and then we have balancing. So each one of these milestones, bug fixing, balancing, like I just said, more bug squashes, so we're not even going to start planning on the Steam aspect of stuff until milestone 9 before we start doing that. And hopefully by that point, we've got 99% of this completed. So we're going to know if we have a decent game, or if we're going to know if we have a game that might be good for early access that we want to keep developing past the 100 hours. So I'm trying to have those checkpoints built in so that we can do that. Okay, so let's go back over to our Kanban. So we got all this stuff. That's all later. Those are all to do. So let's go ahead and let's start on our... What do we want to do? Let's start with our character stats. Let's start making that resource that then we can then use on our characters. So let's go ahead and just start. Let's make a new card. Add card. Character stats resource. Okay, and Dungeon Fire tiles. We're going to put that in the current milestone. Save. Okay. Put this up here, and we're going to start working on that. Okay, so let's go back up here. Let's go to our characters. Player. Okay. So what we need to do, let's see, characters, player characters. We also have enemies. So let's make this a core component because this stat is going to be for both enemies and for players. This is one of those things I'm really tempted to use the stat mechanics I already have from multiple other games where I tried to make Symphony of the Night and all that stuff. So I have a very detailed equipment and stats system, but doesn't really fit this game. And I feel like I'd spend more time tweaking that than just writing this new. So that's what I'm going to do for this. So let's see, components. Let's do character stats. Okay. Oh, and then this is going to be extends resource. Okay. And let's give it a class name. Character stats. There we go. Okay. So let's do export. So what we need is we're going to need a speed. And we want to make sure that's an integer. And by default, let's make it 6. 6 be good. 4 will get you all the way across the tiles. 6 will be a little bit more. Well, this is going to be extendable, so we can tweak these later. So okay, let's do an export var. Var. What else we need? We need attack dice. Attack dice. I'm going to call this. Base attack dice. Because my idea is the cloaks and the weapons are going to change. So some, like a barbarian or something like that, it's going to have more base attack dice and then something like a wizard. But then the item will have additional dice that then add into that. So let's just say a base attack die is 1. Export var. And we're going to do the same thing, base defense dice. And that's also going to be 1. Okay, and then we need export var. What else do we need? We got speed, tag dice. We need hit points. We need hit points for the character. Do we call it hit points? Do we call it body points? What do we call this to avoid a lawsuit? And if you were out there got an idea, health points instead of hit points? Let's see. Let's just call it, we'll just call it hit points for right now. I mean, it's still a very generic term. Hit points, and that's going to be an integer, and I don't know. Let's give them 4. We're going to give them 1 for right now, because remember, we're just testing. We can tweak this number later. Okay. What else do we need? Let's take a look here. What do I have? I have attack dice, defense dice. I have speed. We have item modifiers, which we'll have to write a function for. Yeah. So all we're doing, again, we're doing a separation here of components. We're trying to make sure that, whatever we attach has whatever it needs in here. So this could also, do we need, do we need anything else? Do we need like the calculation for the item? I don't think so. I think this should be fine for right now. Okay. And then this will be our resource. So then we can say, we can save individual resources of like, this is the barbarian based stats. This is the orc based stats, the orc crossbow, whatever. We can make a separate resource for each class and enemy based on that. So then what we need to do is we need to pull that resource into the player. And my brain just totally went bloop. How do I pull the resource into the player? We need to do we add it as a component? No, we have to load it. Wow. My brain just totally fried. Okay, well, we do the backup way. We go into another game that we've made and we pull in resources. Where did I make a resource for stats? I think I did that in Simon's. Let's check this. Do. Pardon the slowness here. Okay, so let's see. Let's go into, we'll just close all these out right now. I'm working on building out some additional areas still. Okay, so let's see here. Let's look at player. I think I called them player new. Player new. Okay, health component. Did this use a resource? No. The whip uses a resource. So when we do the stats component, update attack. Here we go. Base attack. That doesn't help any. Wow. I don't know how my brain just totally went like bonkers on this stuff. So we've got these. Let's go into our item. Now, you know what? I bet you if I go into our inventory, we'll find it in there. Inventory data. Here we go. So we have items, ability item data. Or did I make these? Excuse me. Okay, so here's all the item data. Let's find the Morning, Michael. You arrived just in time for me to totally go brain dead about how to use resources as stats for my characters. Where am I? I'm looking for like a whip. Here we go. Whip. Hearts quantity. Did I never do the... that's Morningstar. So this is just the item, not the actual stats. Okay, well, that's not helping me any. Okay. So I guess I just need to do a export on the character and then load in the resource. So if we do, let's see here, we got export vars. Well, here we go. We got var speed. So we'll use that export var stats, and that's going to be a what would we call that again? Character stats. Okay. So if we do that, and then we go to say player 1, and we do a quick load. All right, we haven't created a new character stats yet, so let's do barbarian. Wait, who's player 1 again? This is player 1 is the rogue. Okay, so let's go into the rogue character. Create a new resource, and that's going to be based on character stats, and we're going to call this the rogue. Okay, and then the rogue will be speed. Yep, this all works fine. So we save that. Okay, and then if we go back to our player 1, we do a quick load. Rogue. There we go. Okay, so now it has those stats. So now if we go back in here and we take this speed, so let's take this out. Okay, and then in our ready, let's do, we need a var still for the speed. Var speed, because again, we're going to keep this int equals, we'll just do 0 for right now. We're going to keep this as an integer because it's going to measure a number of tiles that we can move through. So on ready, we can do speed equals stats, whoops, stats dot speed. Okay, so that should be good there. We're going to have to update our references to speed down here. Speed, and that's the only place. Okay, so if we do this, let's just make sure. We did set it, didn't we? Oh, because I need to set it on the other players too. My bad. Quick load. We'll just set them all as rogues for right now because I don't have the other ones built. Okay. Let's try that again. Okay. So now we... okay. Okay. Got myself confused about how I'm using speed versus the tile movement. Okay. So... okay. So let's go back here. We'll set that back. We'll set this back up here. And then what we'll do is, actually this, I could just leave this like it was. And we're going to call this movement. Okay. So then what we need to do is where we actually take a look at how far we can move when we do our previs, we're going to set that to the movement. So if we come down here to our previs, and then we have, here's limit to 6 cells. So we need to do here movement plus 1. Okay. So that should now change our tiles, but the guy's still going to move across. Oh, wait, I need to put the speed constant back in there. Constant speed. What we have before? 20, I think it was. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay. So now he should move. Now he should move. Oh, yeah. Wow. I'm getting all kinds of discombobulated this morning. Okay, so now we put this here. Movement equals stats dot speed. Okay. I'm going to change this right now. I'm going to say movement, or yeah, let's call it just movement. Okay. And let's go back into that resource. Where are we? Character stats. I'm going to change this to movement. Okay. Just so that we keep speed and the movement separate. Okay. So we got those. Oh, and then we'll just want to reload this just to make sure that that is set to the same. Okay. Because sometimes if you don't reload those resources, they don't update properly. Okay. So this move, we have the 6. He moves around at regular speed. Now, if we go back to the rogue here and we say we want to change it to 3 and we save it, let's just save that there. Now we should only be able to move 3 squares. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Okay. Again, we can only move 3 squares. Yep. And that's okay. Okay. Wow. Brain just totally fried this morning. Okay, so let's set that back to 6. Okay, so we have that. We have the character stats resource. We built that. Let's do the what do we want to do next? Trying to think here, because I would like the next thing on my list is the dice resolver, but we don't have a way to actually start the combat yet. So how do we want to start the combat? So we have our combat manager, okay, and then where we have, it's not here. Okay, it's in the character body. So in the input here, so we're checking the target. That gives us the cell. What we need to do is we need to check. No, because what we're doing, if I remember, okay, what we're doing here is we actually have an attack option that we have to select. I'm going to probably clean up stuff in the polish phase where if you just like right click or whatever on it, it's going to auto attack. But for right now, we have the button. We can clearly separate all of our different functions. So we have an attack button. So we're going to have to use a targeting state. So we need to figure out the targeting state next. So let's figure out. Am I getting ahead of myself with this? Do I want to have the targeting first? Yeah, let's have the targeting first, because to do the dice resolver, we need to know the attacker's attack dice pool and the defender's defend dice pool. So, okay, so let's work on the targeting. That's going to be back in our game board because this is where we're keeping track of all that stuff. So we have did we bring in a reference to, we did not. Let's bring in the reference to the, where's our UI? There's our UI. Into our attack button. Let's also re-enable our attack button. Why am I, come on, go to the attack button. There we go. Okay, attack button re-enabled. Okay, so then we need to listen to the attack button. Copy. Where do we set up our buttons? Here we go. Move chest. So let's add in our attack button. Press connect and actor ACTOR attack. Okay, so now we need this function. And we got actor move, actor remove. So let's add this in here. Function actor attack. Okay, so let's see. When we hit attack, what we need to do is we then need to go into a targeting mode. So we need to then be able to click on our target. So let's just put in some real basic stuff here because we're not doing UI till later. So we do select target. Okay, so then that will pop up there. And then we're going to use, I feel like, do we want to just reuse the, I think we can just reuse this code because then that'll get us what tile we're on. Or do we use a targeting, do we make it even simpler? Do we just make a bounding box on the character? And so then when the mouse hits the area 2D and go bloop, okay, that's our target, kick it back. Because that should, if we do it that way, that should scale with when we zoom in and out. So if I go back up here, what's this? What's this unhandled? Oh, this is our old movement. We don't need that anymore. Get that right out of there. Okay. So if we go back here, let's do our monster. Here's our orc. So we want that. We want a targeting shape around him. So let's add a child, an area 2D. Yep. And then we're going to add a collision shape. And then this will be a rectangle. Yeah, we'll use rectangle. That's fine. Rectangle. We'll set that to be 8 by 8 because we want it to be the full thing. We want to transform. So it's selecting the entire square. Okay, and then we're going to call this target. Do we call it target? We use a different name. Target. Do we call it select as target? No, I don't. I think that feels too long. How about just targeted? Let's just call it targeted. There we go. So then when we click on this, let's give it a. So this is going to be list. How do we want to do this? We're going to have the mouse hunting. So the mouse is going to be looking to read. So the mouse is going to be monitoring. This is going to be monitored. So it needs to exist on something. So let's take a look here. Let's do monster. No, we already have monster. So let's do a new layer. Just call it a target layer. Because we can use the same one because we're going to have abilities for the players to target other players, and we're going to have ability to target monsters. So let's just call it a target layer. And which layer was that? There we go, layer 5. Okay. So what we need to do then, we have this. This is the target layer. You know, we need this also on the. We need to change our game board so that we can spawn, which one, what would we call it? Entrance 2. It has 4 monsters. Yeah. So let's go back to our script for our game board. Let's change our entrance tile so we can spawn monsters to work with here. Make sure that works. Yep. Okay. They're there. Okay. Okay. So then what we need to do is in here, we need to select the target. So we need to change into a targeting mode, which is just like our show possibles. Okay. So this gives us the entire tile. We don't need the entire tile. Where is our targeting? Because this draws. Oh, you know what? Do we even need? Because these are just on layer 1. Do we even need layer 5? Anyway, we'll get back to that. So this on mouse entered, on mouse exited. Where do we read the input? Here we go. Input event. So if we do this and we copy this over to our targeted, and then we make a script on this, and we're going to make this a global script because we're going to be able to reuse this on multiple things. So let's go back to core components. Do I want it under combat tracker? Yeah, we'll go under combat tracker and we'll call it targeted. Okay, create. Class name targeted. Target. There we go. Okay, and then so we can have this. We're gonna pull this in, and then what we need to do is we need to emit. How about we'll call this selected as target. Okay, and that's going to be a signal, and then we're going to do it's going to be a character body. Character body 2D. Oh, hold on, let me try it the other way. Character body 2D. There we go. Okay, so we're going to emit this. So let's take this. We're gonna select it as target. We're gonna emit, and then we're gonna emit self. Okay. This may change now that I'm thinking about this, because we may want to emit the location if we do something like a fireball, because that's going to be an area of effect. Yeah, we're starting to get in the scope group territory here. We need to keep focused. Let's do, when we get into abilities, we'll redefine that. We may need to revisit this. Hopefully we don't need to, but we'll find out. Okay, so on our input event, we're going to take in the viewport, the event, and the shape. We're going to see if the event is a mouse button press, mouse button left. And we're going to say area 2D clicked. We're going to say target clicked, TAR. Wow. Keyboards and me this morning are just not working. Okay, and then so it's going to then emit. No, I don't want to emit self. I want to emit the owner. Right. Okay. So we'll emit the owner. So that will be the orc. So it's going to emit the orc. Okay. So this is going to happen anytime we click on the orc right now, if I believe. So right now, if we have this. No. Okay. What are we? Let me think about this. So we have targeted. If event is this, target clicked. Why is that not? We're in viewport. Mouse button pressed. Oh, we probably have. Do we have the UI eating? No, we don't have it because it's working when we move. We're not doing anything here. What are we? So we have this. So if I click attack, it should say select the target. Yep. And then if I click these guys, is there something that is eating up? Let's see here. Control, mouse, ignore on that. Action panel. Mouse, stop on the action panel, which is fine. So the UI is not eating the targeting. Let's go back and steal. Where did I do my target? Show. Oh, what were those called again? Spires, explore selection. Here we go. Let's add this code in. Making sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, wait, I need this. I need this in the ready. Okay, let's grab that. Let's go back over here. Okay, that, oops, helps if I'm on the right thing. There we go. Target clicked. Okay. I need to connect that part in. Okay, so what we should probably do is let's do so when we do the target mode, we should go through everything in actor and make it a viable target. So if we go back into not combat manager, game board, this. So by default, if we go back into this selected thing, explore selection, are we turning off? You know, we may have an unintended bug here. I wonder, because right now, if I do project debug, visible collision shapes, and then we turn these on. Nope. Okay. Okay, so it's not doing it unless, oh, right, because it's not going to work unless someone's standing there. Okay. Okay. Boy, my brain is running all over the place today on this. Okay, so let's take and set that out of my way. Okay, so on game board. Here we go. So let's go through and let's set up a, how do we want to turn on the targeting? So let's do a enable function, enable target, oops. Enable TA target mode. There we go. How about that? And then, so what we'll do is we'll put this into here, and then we can do the same thing. We can do function disable target mode. Okay, and then we can just do a disconnect here. Okay, so then we don't need this function. And then what we can do is we can go through in the orc, let's bring in a reference to the targeted. Yeah, we'll do that. Save. Okay, and then what we can do is we'll just do it in groups right now for testing. Okay, so let's go back to our game board. This is almost like ADHD mind that you're following trying to program here. Okay, so let's do get for actor and get tree. Get nodes in group, and we're going to do the group name of monsters. Okay, and then we're going to do an actor dot enable actor dot targeted. What did I call it again? Actor dot targeted dot enable target. Did I call it target mode? What did I call that now? Targeted. Enable target mode. Yes. Okay. Okay, and so that's targeted. Oops, that's game board. Here we go. So we're going to do this. And then what we need to do, so we got that. And then we also have the actor that has an emit signal. So we also need to connect the actor dot targeted dot what we call it again? We called it selected as target. Dot connect, and then we're going to just call target selected. Okay. And then how do we this is back to like our thing last time to show if awaiting this. Do we want to await or do we just let's just keep going with the flow for right now. We'll just keep ourselves going. Targeted, selected as target, connect, target selected. Okay, so now we need a function. Oops, target selected, SE. And we're gonna pull in an actor from that, ACTOR. That's gonna be a character body 2D. Okay. And then we'll just print out the name. So print, and we'll say, we have actor, ACTOR. How about target? How about this? We'll do targeted. I can't spell target today to save my life. And then we'll do here, and we'll do a actor.name. Wow. Okay, and then what we need to do is we also need to turn off targeting mode after that. So then we'll just reuse this again, copy. We'll put this back in here. We'll go through all the monsters. We'll underscore this, underscore that. There we go. For actor in this, we're going to do a disable the target, and then we're going to disconnect this. Okay. So now when we do attack, we should be able to click and then get, oops. So if we go here, we say attack. Orc was selected. That's all been disconnected. Okay, so that doesn't work a second time. Okay. Why is, oh, because I forgot to hide these again. There we go. Hide. Okay. Okay, so first to go is not a player. So we'll just remove that now. We should be up to a player. Here we go. And if he attacks, okay, so why did that not work? We went to select target. We went through all the actors, turned on this. Do we want to leave this in the ready and we just turn on input monitoring? Oh. So we start up. And do attack, we select the target. Does not work. Does it work? Okay, so we have player. So player doesn't work at all. Why does this not work? I have a theory. Let me, I just hit my microphone. I'm sorry about that. What do we got? Let's keep going until we have a player. Player one. There we go. Move. Okay, let's put a player here. Okay, so that should have moved the vertical. Who are we up to? Player four. So I do this, okay. Player 4, now we're up to character body 3, but now if I do this, nope, nope. So we're selecting the target, but we're not enabling the input, or at least the input is not working. So let's pull the one other thing. Let's do some more testing here. Let's make sure that our mouse is actually getting to where it needs to be. So let's see, where's our Explorer? Let's add in these, copy, targeted, add these functions in, and then let's go back over here and let's snag this stuff. And let's go back over here. We'll put this, and then we'll make these available. So now we can see when we're entering the targeted areas. Okay, so the mouse is reading those. So if I hit attack, we had it work briefly, and now it doesn't work at all. Okay. Do I have the orcs in grouping? The orcs are not assigned in the group. Okay, let's try this again. Wow, we're having a great experience today. Target. Okay. Yeah, we just, I forgot to assign the orc into the monster group. So that's why that wasn't working. Just dumb. Okay, so let's go back to targeted. We don't need this mouse stuff right now. So I'm going to leave that there just because we might need it later. Same with the visible debugging. So we'll just put pass in here for right now. Okay, so now we've got that. We're emitting it back to the game board. So we have a target selector. We have the target. We're turning off the selector. Just make sure. Because like right now, if I click, nothing. Attack them. Okay, perfect. So that is working as expected. Okay. So let's see here. We got target selected. We've got we need to then, so we have the target selected. We need to get, oh, you know what? The orcs also need a stat block. So let's do an @export var stats, and that was a character stats. Okay. And for now, we're just going to give them the rogue as well. Save. Okay, so then what we do in here is we have the targeted actor's name. So then we can do a print. Let's use print error just so it shows up nice bright red. Attacker dice. Okay, and then we're going to do a string of the current. Where's our current actor? Combat manager, current turn node. Here we go. .stats .attack. What do they call it? Attack base attack dice. Copy. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do a print error, and we're going to do a defender dice. But this time, instead of that, we're going to do underscore actor, because that's who we're passing in. The stats, the base attack dice. Okay. So now if we attack, say this, we should have 1 and 1. Yep. Okay. And then just to make sure we're reading the right stats, let's bring up that rogue. Rogue. There we go. And let's make the attacker, say, have 3 dice instead. Okay. So now if we attack, we have 3 and 3. Why do we have 3 and 3? Oh, because I put attack dice. See, this is why I do that. I do this stupid thing just to make sure that I don't mess it up like I did. Okay, so now we're able to read the stats after we select the target. This is very rudimentary. This does not have any error handling. This does not have any of that fun stuff. So now let's also go. I'm going to put this stuff in here for right now onto the players, just so then when we go back to deal with the players, we don't forget that we need to add those in. Paste. Paste. Okay. So now they have target modes as well, but they're also on the players group. So if I run this right now and we click on the player, it should not produce anything. So let's just double check. Attack. Okay, nothing. Orc. Yeah, okay. And so then we can change this attack. So then if we're on a an orc turn, then we can just flip instead of monsters, we can activate players. And this, we can also use the same thing. So say like the cleric has a healing power, we can, instead of activating targeting on the monsters, we can activate targeting on the players. Okay, so let's go back over here to our game board. Boom, boom, boom. And where we have target, actor attack. Here we go. So right here, we can add in if actor dot is in group GROUP, and then we're going to do players. Okay, then we can do this. Oh, I need to use the current combat manager, current turn node actor. Copy. Okay. So we can do that. And then if we do else, elif, if they're in the monsters group, and then we can do this with players. Okay. So then we should be able to target players. And then what here, we will just need to do the same logic here, but we'll flip it for right. You know what? No, we don't need to do that. We can also just turn it off for everybody. There. We don't need to worry about flipping and flopping. We just say deactivate, because then that will catch any other possible stuff. So right now we're going to play. The first character to go is player. So if we do attack, we shouldn't be able to attack our players. We can attack orcs. Okay. Oh, right. Because in orcs, we have this ready variable. In the player, we do not have that. Let me put that down here with our other on ready. Save. Okay. So first to go is player 3. Attack. Okay, perfectly fine. Attempt to disconnect the because we never connected it. Okay, so let's add in a if copy this dot is connected, then then we'll disconnect it. Okay, so that should solve that problem. Whoops. Okay, so we make sure it's connected first before we try to disconnect it. Okay, so now attack. Who do we have? Player 4. Player 4. Boom. Okay, we do that. We still have an error. Attempt to disconnect the non. Oh, we need to do the same check in here. Okay, we'll come back. That doesn't stop us from testing the game. Okay, so let's move our player here. Let's get their movement done so we go to the next. Now we're on to, let's see, whose turn is it? Player 4 ended, character body 3. Okay, so that's probably 1, 2, 3. Actually, it's probably this guy right here. So if I click attack, I shouldn't be able to attack these guys, but I should be able to attack a player. Attack player. Why is my attack not working? Targeted. Selected as target, omit owner. Why is that not working? Yep, it's already connected. That's fine. Error calling signal selected as target. That's right here. It should be on the players. Let's clear this up. Let's go back here. Player, boom. We have targeted right here. Selected as target. So if we click the targeted, it should emit player 1. Target clicked. This shouldn't be triggering until I connect the signal. Oops, I mean delete that. Let's see here. Why is that triggering without connecting the signal? Cannot convert argument 1 from object to object. Oh, do I have my character body set up there? Character body 2D. What's the orc set up as? Character body 2D. So that should be fine. Why is that not emitting when I target a player? What is different about the player? Oh, what do we have here? We got targeted, stats, and action complete. We have targeted, we have stats, we have action complete. I mean, there's not really any difference. So if I set this to false, is that going to do... Is this where the problem is? Target clicked, comma, owner, owner.name. I just want to just try to see, you know, what happens here. Whoops. Smacked my desk. That felt real good. Okay, so nothing's happening here. Boom. Nothing's happening here. Okay, just as expected. We hit attack. We're on player 4. Attack. Okay, nothing happening on the players. Okay, we attacked the orc. Okay. That's still cleanup I need to do. If we move, move. Okay. Explore. Okay, now we're on character body 3. Yeah. Character body orc 3, 5. No, one of these anyways. If I hit attack, I can't click on the orcs. That targeted the game board. Why'd that target the game board? Oh, am I using owner in the wrong way? That's the game board. But when I click on the players... Okay, so maybe instead of using owner, maybe I use get parent. Player 4. Player 4. Okay, so let's switch this to get parent instead. Because I guess owner, because the players right now are not separate scenes, so I think that's what's causing the problem. And if the players were their own independent scenes, that might be a different story. Okay, so let's see. First to act is player 3, so if I attack, I want to make sure this accounts for the entire new thing. Okay, and then over here, lower left, perfect. Upper, there you go. Okay, so let's move this player. Move him again. Explore. Now we're up to orc. So the very first orc, this guy. So if I hit attack, error. Attack. Okay, we're getting a bunch of errors. Okay, let's see. Well, okay, let's add a... if input vent is connected, return. So then we don't reconnect it. Okay, so that'll fix that. Let's go back to our game board. Let's fix these other signals because we're generating a bunch of errors that are going to interfere with our troubleshooting because we need to add in this part here. We need to say if actor is connected, and then we can disconnect it here. We'll do the same thing here. There. Okay, so that should clear up a lot of these errors. So let's see exactly what's happening now. So first to act is the orc. Attack the barbarian, the mage. Okay, so clicked player 2. That worked fine. Okay, if we attack again, we're going to attack cleric. That clicked player 2. That clicked player 4. You know what? I wonder if our bounding boxes are wrong. Let's take a look here. Project, debug, visible collision shapes. Yep. Okay. So there's there's part of our root problem. So we have those offset improperly for the players. So if we go back to targeted here, collision transform, those are at 0. Collision shape, set that to 0. Because we already offset the players. Sometimes, you just have to kind of, oops. There we go. You have to make sure you're not doing the stupid things. Sometimes it's easier than others. Okay, so let's see here. That should put them back. Okay, so that's overlapping. First to act is character. So we can't click on the characters. We can click on the orcs. Okay, so let's move the character. Let's get a move here. Let's get those explored. Okay, now we're on an orc. So if we click on the orcs, nothing. If we click on the player, okay, that's player 4. Player 1. Player 2, 3. Player 2. Okay, good. So we got targeting. Okay, so let's see here. So we got the targeting. We've got that set up. We are working properly now. Move, of course, doesn't work. Should we do... For testing purposes, should we just make the orcs movable now by the same way that we're doing characters? Yeah, let's do it. Just make our lives easier. We'll stop the program from crashing as we're going through all that stuff. So, okay, so let's go into here. Man, because these things are like the same thing, why don't I just throw the character script on the orc? I might be actually be just flat out the easier way to do this. Let's double check. Make sure there's nothing in here that's signal, movement. It shows previs, which we just are going to throw on there for testing purposes. Start, move, setup, physics process. Yeah, you know that. Let's just copy all this. Keep it as the orc script so that I don't mess up later and change the players around or change the player stuff when I'm trying to mess with the orc. Okay, so now we should be able to move around the orc on their turn. It did not work. Why did it not work? Orc ready. Path previs relative to orc. Oh, because we don't have a previs on the orc. That would be why. Game board. I don't think we need the nav agent, so let's just copy over the previs right now. We'll paste that on there. Okay. Okay, now what are we missing? Out of bound index. Move points. Why did that? Did I just not close the game enough? What did we do? What did we do? Yeah, so it's out of bound. Do we not? I mean, we're using the exact same script. What are we missing that we set up on the characters that we did not set up on the... We have the row. Oh, I know. Nope, that's still there. Okay. Sprite, collision, targeted, previs. I have to put this up here higher. Do we need the nav agent? Let's put the nav agent in. I don't think that is needed because we're not really using the nav agent. Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think we were using the nav agent. Physics process is out of bounds. So it's basically saying that there's no entry number 1 on this directory array. So where are we assigning or building this directory array? We're building it here from move points. Move points normalized. Okay. So move points. Where are we building move points? If move points is empty, return. Okay. Are we move points equals grid get point path? Okay, what did we just do? What did we just do? I mean, it should be a straightforward thing of... Oh, you know what it is? It's because we're drawing the tile, adding in the orcs, and then going through and doing all the other stuff with the characters. So the characters in the game board progression. So if we come in here to our ready, so here it is, here's our setup stack. We're doing the dungeon tile, the A-star grids. Here we go through and we build what's walkable, and then we set up the players here with their A-star grid. But we're not doing that for the orcs. So when we spawn the orc character in, are we setting up the A-star grid for the orc? I don't believe we are. So when we go in here, spawners, where are we spawn? Monster spawner. We add, we get the parent, we register it. So in the registration, or should we do it here in the spawner? Do we have a reference to the game board in the spawner? We have this. Get parent dot actors. So here, this is the game board. So if we do this here, where's our stack? Does it say in our stack where it's crashing? It's not. It's not crashing until we move the mouse. So if we do get parent dot, what would we call this for game board? We did setup. We have to send it to the character. Set up A-star grid. Do we just have it called setup? Oh no, we set it in the character. So in the character, we call setup A-star grid. So if we go back into the orc, well, we may not even need this. Because if we take this out, we'll just do this here. So in here, we have the setup, right? Yeah, there we go, setup. Okay, so in here on ready, where was I editing before? Right here. So get parent dot, no, we got to do new orc dot setup. Set up. And then do I pass in the setup? Where do I do this here? When we set up, we need to set up the A-star grid, so we get that from the parent. So then here we can do get parent dot A-star grid. Okay, that, nope, okay, I was wrong. What are we doing wrong? What are we doing wrong, Jim? Game manager is ready, and we're not getting anywhere else. We're getting an out of bounds index right now. What if we do right here in the beginning on ready, we just call it deactivate right off before we do any physics processing. Will that help us? No. Is this even are we even getting to this point? Let's find out. No, we're not even getting to that point. Okay, so that's not going to be a thing. Okay. Are we getting to this point? No. Is that where we're getting? We're not even getting to that point. Okay, so what are we doing completely and totally wrong here now? Okay, well, that's easy. Let's go back here. Let's set set this back to where we were. Okay. Oh my, was I running the wrong scene? Oh boy. Is this all just because I was running the wrong scene? Monster spawner. Put this here. Run the game board scene. Okay, so we're hitting the breakpoint there. Yeah, I was running the wrong scene. There we go. Okay, we're hitting the breakpoint there, so we're adding the new one. Okay, and then are we getting here? Yes, we're getting here. Okay, are we getting to this point? We are getting to this. We're registering the new actor with the combat manager. Okay, so we're doing that. So here in the add tile, and was it in the dungeon tile map where we added we called in the monster spawner? Yes, right here. So we add the monster spawner. We call spawn. Are we getting to spawn? We are getting to spawn. Okay. Oh, yeah, of course we are, because this is the spawn function. So that's completing. Okay. Okay, so then where are we breaking down? We're breaking down in the orc script during its physics process. So I think if we just disable its physics process until it's activated, which I thought process input. Oops, not physics process input, physics process. Isn't it? Or is it just physics? Is that physics? God, what the heck is it? Set physics process false. There we go. Okay, so we can add them. We won't be able to move them. Okay, and then we can set that to on activate. We can set that to true. TRUE, and then on deactivate we can just set it to false. Okay. Okay, so now we're on. We got who we got first. We got an orc first. As soon as we try to bring up that previs, it doesn't work. Okay. Let's rethink for a moment here. We're getting very close to the end of the stream for the day. Where do I want to be? Where do I want to be? I want to be let's just move the orcs back to where they were. I don't. Okay. Orcs are back to where they were. Monster spawner. That's fine there. We didn't change anything there. We didn't change anything there. Okay. So here we've got this right now. Orcs can't move, but they can attack a player. We'll just remove them. That brings us to another orc. We'll just remove him. Brings us to another orc. We'll just double check. Yep. Okay. We'll remove that orc. Character body 2D. Remove the other orc. Wow, our players rolled bad initiative. Okay. Now we can move. And then we can. Okay, so why is our... Oh. No. Why is the attack not working? I mean, I know we removed all the players or the monsters. Oh, we didn't put the check in here? Oh, dang. Did I? I think I removed the... oh, no, I put it down here. I said... Target selected as target. Okay. Okay, if not, then do the same thing here. Okay. That should clean up that error, because if it's already connected, leave it be. Okay. So player, attack, we can select an orc. We'll move the player, explore. That brings us up to the orc. Can't click on orcs. Can click on player. Click on the player. Click on the player. Okay. But we can't move. You know what we need? We need one more thing. We need an end turn. That's what we need. So instead of, let's go back in here to our, for testing purposes, UI action panel. Let's do one more here. And let's just do end turn. Oops. End turn. Okay. And this will be end turn button. Okay. Then let's go back up here. Boom. Attack button, chest button. It'll be right after the chest button. Let's do the end turn button. You know what? Why don't we just bring all of these in? There we go. Okay. And then when we do so we can do the advanced turn. Is that what we're calling? We just changed this at the beginning of this. Next turn. If the action turn manager points are all this, await advanced turn. Okay. So if we just call advanced turn, no, we could just call next turn on the actor. Okay. So let's go back into here. We can do a function, end turn. Okay. Void. Okay. And then all we need to do here is we need to take the combat manager, current actor, and then we call the turn. Is it next turn? What did we just call it? I think it was called next turn. Next turn function. Next turn, we're going to pass in the actor. Oh, combat manager, not the dummy me. Combat manager. Then we pass in the actor. Okay. So we need to take this part, take that out. We're going to pass this in. Okay. Combat manager dot next turn. Turn manager, current turn node dot actor. This needs to be combat underscore manager dot turn. There we go. Okay, so that will end the turn, but we need to make sure on the combat manager, if we pass this in, let's call it force end. We'll make that a bool equals false. Okay. So if it's less than or equal to or force end, then we can say the turn's over. So if we call that, we come back into the game board here, end turn, we're going to call, we're going to say it's true because we're going to force the end. Okay, so that should allow us to now end turn and go past the orc's turn so we can get to the player turn. So we're on player's turn right now. We'll move him. We'll move him. Okay, and then that goes to an orc's turn. Orc is going to attack him. He's going to attack him twice. End his turn. Now we should be on player 4. And it did not end the turn. Let's go back and look at our output. Player 3. Player 3's turns over. Select target. Target player 3. Targeted. We did not end turn. Okay, so let's make sure. Let's get this working, then we'll probably call this for the day, but let's get the end turn working in game board. So print. Oh, dummy. I know why. Come back up here to our ready function. We never connected the button. End turn button dot pressed dot connect. And then we're going to send it to end turn. There we go. So even if I do, so like right now, it's player 2's turn. So in theory, if I move player 2 to right here and hit end turn, this should give me the tile selection. Perfect. Now we're on to player 4. Move player 4 over here. End the turn. That's going to be tile selection. We're up to player 3. Player 3, you can move to here. End turn, we get tile selection. Now we're on orc. Okay, so if the orc wants to attack him, he can attack him twice. End turn. Okay, so that was the end of the orc's turn. Player 1 should be up. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yay. Okay. You know what we should probably do? I'm not going to... Let's do a simple one. Here we go. Let's make sure we know whose turn it is. So let's go back into our character body 2D. Let's go to our activate here. And let's do, do we have a reference to the sprite? We do not. We'll just self-modulate. I think we can just do that, right? Modulate, okay, and then we can do color. Let's give ourselves a nice little, whoops, let's go to a capital C so we can get the prompt here. Okay, and then let's set a, what do we want to call it? Well, let's make ourselves like a yellow, an orangey yellow. Yeah, there we go, boom. Okay, so we'll do that. And then on deactivate, we will set ourselves back to a 110, 1, 1. There we go. So now, whenever a player is active, that will do that. The orc, we don't have an activate function on them. Are we calling activate on them? We might be. I don't think we are. Turn manager. Are we calling turn manager? Here we go. Next turn. Are we calling actor added emit? Are we doing an activate? Get action points, use action points. Turn node. It must be in the combat manager where we're doing this. Next turn, we are doing advance the turn, emit. Here we go. Actor move. So we're only calling the activate right now on actor move. Is that true? Is that the only place we're doing that? Yeah. So it's only when we hit move. Oh, right, because originally when I did this, we were only moving. So like right now we have player 2. So if I hit move, there they go. They turn color. Okay. We hit move again. They turn color. Okay. Orc is not going to do that. So we need a way to... Yeah. Okay. Well, either way, we kind of got it like a little bit more visible way to look at things right now. So we have, let's see, player 2, we can move them. They activate. Okay. Player 2's turns over. Now we're on. Yeah, so we have to stop that overlapping stuff, but either way. Okay, so we're at a good spot right now, I think. Let's go back and take a look at our setup where we are. So let's go back in here. Let's turn all this stuff into a checklist. Checklist, to-dos. Okay. We have not done any of that. We have not done any of this. We have not done any of this. Wow, we didn't do anything today. We kind of have a turn advancement, so I'll just go ahead and hit that. We needed to add in, I kind of have it down here, but let's add in right in front of this. Let's do character stat resource. There we go. Boom. Character stat resource. Okay, let's jump back over to this. Let's call this done. So that is completed. Yeah, whatever. I know I misspelled it. Completed. There we go. Save. Okay, we'll stop that. Let's take a look at our chart here. We're at 19.9, so we're just shy of 20 hours. We're already 2 hours into Milestone 3, so we're in a good spot there. Let's look at our Kanban, just mark off what we did do this. This is done. And we haven't really started a whole lot on this stuff yet. So next time when we do the stream, I'm hoping I might get one tomorrow or Sunday morning. I don't know yet when the next stream's going to be, but I will try to announce it as soon as I have that figured out, as fast as possible. So let's jump back over to the other cam and see if that is actually working today. Hey, it is. Okay, good. The camera didn't shut off this time. I've been trying to figure out this new setup and everything. So we've got through, there it is. Let's see, go through our little list here. So we fixed the bug of not waiting. So now, if the tile selection pops up, we don't advance to the next turn until that tile selection's done. And so we got rid of that bug. We mapped out all of our ideas for our combat. All the different stuff that we need, the dice resolver, the character stat sheet resource, which we've added that. We ran into a little bit of an issue trying to get the orc to move for this type of testing, but we'll definitely hit that next time. That will be our primary thing. Is we want to make sure we get the orc moving, and then we can add in the enemy decision machine, or whatever you want to call it, their AI. So then we can have them at least move closer to the nearest player and then hopefully attack. So we got the stats defined. We have the dice resolver. And the defense. Yeah, so we've got a good start. We just have to just keep going on this. I think this actually Milestone, we should be able to fly through pretty fast. I'm worried that Milestone 4 is going to be where we add the character, all the individual characters and all their individual abilities. Building the characters, building out the monsters, I think is going to be pretty fast. Especially with our monsters are going to be very limited. They're going to be ranged or melee, move toward and attack. When we get to the boss characters, they might need a little bit more. But I think the player abilities, especially the spellcaster stuff, that's going to be where we're going to run into a little delay, or I don't really want to call it delay, but we're going to need more time, more resource for that milestone. So I'm hoping, because we've managed to save an hour on Milestone 1, save an hour in Milestone 2, and I'm hoping we're going to save maybe 2 hours on Milestone 3. So we should have an extra buffer of about 4 hours heading into Milestone 4. So Milestone 4, if we can get 14 hours devoted to it, I think we should be good to keep our timeline going. So hopefully, cross fingers, we'll be able to do that. So thank you everybody for viewing. Thanks for again, thank you Michael for stopping by, and thank you again for the dice images. We didn't get a chance to implement those today, but I will be implementing those next week, the next stream. And be sure to take a look out. I'm hoping to do one more stream this weekend, because the hardest part of this entire series has been saying I'm only going to work on this game on stream. I've done a few note taking, just idea jotting down in my notebook, but I haven't done any actual coding or work. Everything's being done on stream, so you can see the entire process that I'm going through. And again, that's been the hardest part. Is I want to keep working on the game and keep making it something, and I really wanted to get it done, and I just, I'm trying to stay true to that commitment, trying to show you every aspect that I go through with this. And one thing that I think is very valuable that I do, that I highly encourage other people to do, don't get rid of old games. Keep that graveyard of stuff, because there's things you can pull from all the time. I'm going to be pulling the dice rolling system that I'm basically using from my Pandora's Dice game. It's just real simple animated sprite, but it rolls dice. So I'm going to be pulling that for this, for how we do the animation for rolling dice. Keep that stuff. Unfortunately, Simon's Quest today didn't really help me, but at least it got me to the point where my brain finally clicked in and go, oh yeah, you can just reference it as an export and then pull the value in. Yeah, no problem, Michael. I understand being in the meeting and kind of watching this in the background and listening. Been there myself. Looking forward to, I think I just saw an alert come up saying that you're going to be streaming this afternoon. So I'll look forward to that, and I will certainly be able to be jumping into there. And if you guys aren't familiar with Michael Games, highly suggest checking out his channel. He's got some great tutorials and walkthrough, help me get started and what I'm doing here. So I highly suggest you take a look at his channel and check things out. But without further ado, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to grab some food, grab something to drink, because my voice is starting to go again. I'm really glad it held out for the 2 hours, and I will see you guys next time.